What is going on, everybody? This is Coach Coleman, Jesse Coleman, and you're checking into Breakthrough Blueprint, the podcast, where we help you tap into your full potential. And on today's episode, I got somebody that I truly look up to. I met him in Nashville. I can't remember what year it was, but we had an event in Nashville. And on the last day of the event, we had a wealth event. And he came in, and first thing I noticed, like, okay, I can really rock with him because he reminds me of me. He shows up as his authentic self. He had his J's on. It wasn't no suit and tie. It wasn't none of that. I'm like, this is somebody that I can really connect with. And then he started talking about just having so many different businesses, just not real estate. And I'm like, oh shit, like this, like man, I gotta really connect with him. And then after that, I asked him, I'm like, hey, would you be able to hop on a Zoom for my local chapter that I'm doing something for? And without hesitation, he like, let's set it up, just do it. And that meant a lot to me to see somebody at his level doing the things he's doing. I'm gonna have him highlight a lot of the other stuff that he's doing, but he's also a part of the Color of Money podcast. And I love this podcast because it's talking about creating that generational wealth within the Black and Brown communities. You don't get a lot of that. Me growing up on the south side of Chicago, I didn't have those type of outlets to help me realize, okay, what are the basics of money? How can I grow wealth? How can I make sure that my daughter's kids are able to be set up just like other people are doing? So, without further ado, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Daniel Dixon. Daniel, what is going on?
What's good, brother? Good to see you again, man.
Man, good to see you. Good to see you. It's something else I forgot to say during the intro, but I just want to say that your foundation that you have going on, the JOK Foundation. Can you talk a little bit about that? And just highlight that. And I'll also, for you all that's listening and looking on YouTube, I'll definitely throw a link in the description for you to get more information about that.
Yeah, so the JLK Foundation was founded. So I grew up with a single mother of three kids. We didn't have much of anything our entire life. And so as I started to win in this industry, we did a lot. I gave back to big brothers, big sisters. We've donated money, and it never really got that true fulfillment on really being able to help and being able to lead our communities. So we launched the JLK Foundation, which is the initials for my grandmother, my mother, and my aunt. And what we do is we help single parents and minority kids with housing and utility expenses. And so a piece of every closing that we have goes into a fund. And then we sponsor families every month to just help our community grow, man. I mean, that's the biggest thing. We don't see a lot of people that look like us. I'm a little, Emmerich likes to call me exotic. So I'm a little light skinned, but not a lot of people look like us in this industry. And I think that we have a unique ability to really lock arms with each other, help each other grow, help each other succeed, and then really get into our communities and really help our communities grow as well.
Yeah, and that was a big thing for me. Like I said, when I was doing the intro of like when I first saw you and I first met you, it gave me some hope of like, okay, I can definitely go to another level because somebody that looked like me, come from where I come from, and experience a lot of the things that I experienced, and then let none of that stop you from doing what it is you need to do. And I'm like, damn, and like I said, I'm like, damn, okay, I got to connect with them and I have to step it up because I want to be a part of giving back to the community. I want to be a part of, that life by design. Money is good for the good it can do. I want to be a part of doing that because you paved the way for that.
Yeah, I think the biggest, like, I learned so much, and this isn't, man, growing up, like I learned so much in this. And I've been a licensed agent for about 10 years, and I learned so much from Ben Kinney and Brett Tanner and Jason Abrams and a lot of these folks. But it dawned on me probably like year four. I'm like, no one on these big stages look like me. They're all doing incredible things, but they're like, no one looks like me. Is it possible? You know what? I want to be on that stage, and I want to try to inspire other people to realize it's not just the status quo that can lead classes, that can teach, that can train, that can run massive businesses. Um, and that's really what started to inspire me to really start leaning into our community more and just helping, just being a wealth of knowledge. Knowledge is. I was on something with Emmerich yesterday, and I said knowledge is power, and he said knowledge is potential power. Like you got to.
Mm.
And so that's the biggest thing that I'm into now is like, how do we teach, coach, train, help, inspire, grow more individuals, black, brown, white, yellow, like it doesn't matter. How do we just help more people do better to get our industry better and just to have more people have more success?
Yeah, and when we because we was just together in Vegas for our real estate convention, and you was like, "How can I help you? Let me get on the podcast." I'm like, "Damn!" I'm like, "Okay," and I'm like, "You know what? I can't play no games because we know that." And it's funny because you called me and Hard Jode out about this before, like, "Hey, y'all said y'all was going to come to Denver and shadow what's
Yeah,
going on." We know that at least 90 to 95% of the people don't follow up on what it is that they say they're going to do. And I'm like, you know what? I know it's late. I know he just probably got back to the crib. I'm finna shoot him a text like, "Hey, you know what? I'm not gonna waste no time. You said you want to be a part of this, and I don't take that for granted. Hey, let's get it locked in." So I appreciate you being, one of the ones that want to give back and want to lead the way and pull people up. Like as you're going higher and higher, you're willing to reach back and pull people up with you. And it's our job to, like you said, to make sure we move our feet and do what we're supposed to do to keep moving too.
100%. I think that I've stood on the shoulder of giants. Like I'm not very different from a lot of these other new agents. I was a new agent that was hungry and that was ready to grind as much as I can. And I got lucky enough to start to meet up with my coach early in my real estate career that completely reshaped everything that we do. The way that we run our team, the way that we grow our team, the way that my mind is, why wealth building is so important. We're in an industry where there's so many people that build wealth through real estate, but when you look at the average amount that most agents make, there's not a lot of wealth builders inside of real estate. It's incredible to me. And so I want people to understand that like you got to use this as a vehicle to go play the game of wealth and go build that wealth and go create that wealth for yourself and not just live closing to closing or be the best buyer or seller's agent that you can be.
Yeah, definitely. And so I want to go back because I am a beginning origin story person. I love that because again, it helps me realize, hey, anybody can do it. If they can get through this, I can do it too. So where did that start from? Because you're currently in Denver now. Where are you from? Denver or no? You're from
SoCal.
California. Yeah, yeah, you're
Yeah.
from SoCal. So what was that like for you? Growing up, and then we'll talk about how you got into real estate. But how was that like for you growing up in SoCal?
I have a funny story about it as well. But I grew up with a single mother of three kids. We didn't really have much growing up in our entire life. Like I have a saying now that I didn't come from a wealthy family, but a wealthy family is going to come from me. And so this is like we didn't have anything. I was the first person to graduate from college in my family. I was the first person to own a home in my family. Like a lot of the things that we did were the things that I learned how to do through the journey. And I wouldn't change it really for anything because it really created and shaped who I am. I remember going to apartment complexes and sitting with my mom and hoping that we get approved for the whether it be a car loan or the apartment, and we're crossing our fingers and they're running credit, and the funny story I was going to tell you is my mom needs a new car, and I was talking to her today, and she was like, well, I could probably just do this. I was like, Mom, you're not broke anymore. You don't need to think like I get what I get. Like, sweetheart, what do you want? I kind of want the heated seats, but then let's go get the heated seats then. Like, it's just crazy how that mindset when you were younger really you have to focus on changing that. You have to focus on how do I change the belief system that I have because it's so ingrained inside of me. So it was a grind. It was robbing from Peter to pay Paul. It was my mom working as much as she could to try to survive, and I learned grit, hard work, love, community, all of those things through. You don't realize what you don't have until you actually have something, and then you
Yeah,
realize, oh shit, that's what I
yeah,
didn't have.
yeah. I want you just said something, and I want to ask you about that. What is that feeling like? Like you said, your mom said she needs a new car, and she was like, "Well, I want this." You're like, "No, what do you want? How does that make you feel? Like that gotta be like shit. Like that gotta be a feeling.
It was just funny to me because I'm like that broke mindset that we grew up with. You don't have to have my mom is ghetto to the core, and she doesn't have to be anymore. And I'm like, Mom, shake out, like snap out of it. You don't need to make these kind of decisions in life. Or she, she'll scrounge up money, and I'm like, Mom, just use your debit card. She's still saving change. Like there's just funny things that she does, and it just kind of reverts back to how we've always been and where we came from.
Yeah, it's funny because I think about that of I get that from my parents of like, you get some extra change, you throw it into this little thing, and then you throw it
Yeah,
into that. When it fill up, okay, we go take it in and turn it in. And it was just and growing up, I just thought it was just like, okay, that's what we like, hey, that's what we do. You got extra change, you just throw it in the thing and get it together. But it was one of those things of like, hey, we can't spare anything. We need to make sure we have every single cent
yeah.
accounted for so we can be able to do what we need to do. That yeah, that's dope. That when you were saying that, I'm like, man, that had to be an amazing feeling. And now I'm thinking because my mom, she wanted a new car. I'm like, you know what? Let me go ahead and see what I can do to make sure she get what she want. You know?
Well, I think this journey of life, like we over the last 10 years, we've sold over $1 billion in real estate and originate and loans originated because I'm also a licensed loan originator. And we've had a lot of success really, really fast. But the first go around at this, all I was doing was chasing success. I didn't have money my entire life, so all I wanted to do was achieve more, more, more. And these last 2 years have been super trying for us. And so what that made me do is slow down and realize like, oh, there's a different game that's being played. Now it's quality of life. I've got to truly enjoy the journey and not just focus on the hill that I want to climb. I've got to enjoy climbing the actual hill. So it's completely that's part of the like talking to my mom about this. Like, man, go blow some money and drive in a car and get that feeling of like, oh, damn, look at that. I got vibrating seats now. You know what I'm saying? Like enjoy the journey because we're not here that long. And
Yeah.
if all we're trying to do is just survive or just do enough or just succeed or just make a certain amount of money, then it's going to be a very empty feeling once we get to that point.
Yeah. I've been trying to figure out what's that shift been because a lot of people has been feeling that way over the past few years of like I'm gonna hustle, but I'm not finna go kill myself. I'm finna
Yeah.
enjoy the time with the people I have. And
Hmm.
I think too, it's probably and I know for me personally, that hit me hard when one of my best friends passed away. Like 11 o'clock at night, we're on the phone with him talking 4 or 5 in the morning, his wife called crying that he's dead. And I think that was for me the trick of like, okay, bro, you like, yes, you want to go get everything you want to get. And the people that you love, you need to be spending time with them. You need to do the things that you love with the people you love
Yeah.
because we don't know when that time is up.
Yeah. We don't. I think that the closer I get to 40, I'm 39 now, and I turned 40 in a couple months. But the more I don't know if it's I'm understanding that like I'm not like I'm actually mortal, right? Like there's health issues that are going to come into play. There's going to be family issues that come into play. All of my friends' parents are getting older. There's just this realness of life that's kind of, like I said, it's been really difficult these last 2 years, just trying to survive in these streets and trying to grind and grow and still achieve. That it's just really made me. There was one moment when my son came into my room, at my 12-year-old. We were going to the movie with his kids or with his friends, and he came into the room, and I'm like depressed. I'm sad. I'm trying to figure out, what am I going to do? And none of the things that I do are working again. And my son didn't bring me joy, and I was like, oh, this isn't it. I'm over here stressing about stupid work problems and not being there in that moment with my 12-year-old, enjoying his excitement and his enthusiasm to go to the movies with his friends. And it was like that was a pivotal moment for me where I'm like, yeah, all this can go away. All this can go away. I've been broke before. We could start all the way over again. But I need to be able to have that joy and that love of my kids, my family, my mom, my brothers and sisters, like all of that.
I love that. And for you all listening or watching on YouTube, that's ingrained in that hustle culture. Like this is for real. Like you can do all that hustling, you can do all that grinding, and you feel like you made it to the mountaintop, and you realize that you missed the time with the people you love.
Hmm.
You missed those opportunities. And I know for me, I've taken a big hit, but I've been enjoying spending time with my family. I wouldn't trade
Yeah,
that, and I wouldn't trade that for nothing. Like those core memories, my daughter remember the things I've done and not the things I've bought. Like
100%.
like she remember that. So I love that you brought that up. Especially for somebody in your status, you've accomplished a lot, and for you to say that, I hope people listen to that and they really take account of what they're doing and how they're doing things because you don't get that time back.
Well, the funny thing is, we always say that we always make the comment when people ask about what's your why. It's always your family, your kids, and but at the end of the day, like, are you making that time count? Like, it sounds good that I'm working so hard for my kids, but if you're not going to their football games, do you think they give a shit? They don't care. They would rather have no money and have mom and dad there as frequently as possible, helping build them, grow them, love them, encourage them, teach them. And I think that I had to learn that the hard way. And that's part of my journey. What I'm trying to help people understand is, man, there's so much more out there than just success. Go to
Yeah.
work, work while you're at work, and go home and be at home. You don't need to be working all the time. It's not a badge of honor to say I work, 13 hours a day. Like, that's not cool.
Yeah, I tell people that I'm like when your time is up and people are sharing stories and talking about you, it's nobody's gonna get up there in front of your family and say, you know what, that damn Jesse, that boy's working 14-hour days. Like they're gonna
Yeah.
no, they're gonna remember and share those times you spent with them. And
Hmm.
that made me remember a story. I think we were in Austin together, and your son FaceTime you. He had just got
Yeah.
his football uniform,
Yeah.
and then just being around for that experience and you living that proof. Like, no, this is what's important. Like, let's talk about it. Like, y'all was having fun, and I'm like, that's what it's all about. And that showed up to of like, you are doing what you say you want to do. You're making that time for them, and you're enjoying those things too.
Yeah.
So
They bring me, my kids bring me the most joy, more than any award I've ever gotten or any amount of money that I've ever made. And it's just experiential learning, right? Like, if you would have told me this 6 7 years ago, I'd be like, no, 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 no. I gotta win more. I gotta be number one. I gotta keep making more money to build a legacy. Like, no, this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And doesn't mean we
yeah,
can't work hard and can't succeed, but let's make sure that we keep what matters most in focus, and not the accolades, and not the just more success.
yeah. And you said it though. You said work when it's time to work, and then play when it's time to play. I
Yeah.
think that's where a lot of people drop the ball, and I've been guilty of this a lot. Like I'm a walking shit show. I say that all the time. Yet I've learned to maneuver through it. But when it's time to work, work. That way, when it's time to be present with the people you love, you're okay with it. You're not feeling you missing nothing because you did what you're supposed to do during the time you were supposed to do it.
Well,
Right?
man, we have so many of these agents that come in and they'll just be at their desk all day, and they made 18 phone calls. And I'm like, guys, get out. We literally had to shut the office down at 2 o'clock every day for like 2 weeks
Mm,
to teach them in their mindset. You go to work, you do what you need to do, and then go do whatever you want to do after that. Whether that's showing houses, whether that's going to the gym, doing your dry, like, you being here for 8 hours just to be here, you're gonna feel like I worked all day, but you didn't do anything to move the needle. It doesn't. This isn't an 8 hour job necessarily. Like, get
yeah.
in, do what you need to do, and then go do the things that you want to do.
Yeah, that's that difference of being busy versus productive.
Yeah.
People want to get on social media, take all the reels. Oh, I'm hustling in the office all day and didn't do a damn thing. And again, I've been guilty of that where like I'll be in the office from 7 to 5 and now I'm driving home pissed off because I'm like, I didn't do a damn
I
thing.
did a
I,
damn thing
I,
today.
I might as well just stayed home and
Yeah.
enjoyed time at home than doing that. Uh,
Well, I
so
think
you,
the thing for a lot of these people is like, what did The question you need to ask yourself is, what did I do to move my business forward today? What did I do to move the needle today? What did I do that mattered today? Not just going to the office. Going to the office is the first step. I'm a proponent of not working from home and getting around other individuals that are producing and doing the things. I think that's important for culture and for energy. But like, what did I do to move when you leave the office? What did I do to move my business forward today? If the answer is not much, change it tomorrow. Give yourself grace. It's okay to take a step back. All my steps are not always forward. We take a lot of steps back, but it's the authentic and honest conversation of, damn, I didn't really do shit today.
Yeah. Yeah. So for y'all listening, write that down. Put that over your desk. Put that as your screensaver. What did I do today to move my business forward? And if you can't give a legit answer of what it is you did, like Daniel said, okay, you got to do something different tomorrow. But you have to do something every day to move your business forward. I'm actually gonna write that down too and put that up when I start having those days where I'm, getting too lax and comfortable. Like, no, what did I do today to move my business forward? I
Yeah,
love
and
that.
just give yourself grace. Like, it's not every day is going to be a win. Not every day is going to be I was at my best. But the more that we can stack, it's the compound effect. The more that we can stack more wins than losses, not every day is going to be a win. But the more that we can stack more wins than losses, that over time is magnificent. Again, I'm not very different than a lot of other people. I just understand the compound effect of continually working and executing every day. Most agents out there know what to do and they know how to do it. They just don't want to. Like, well, just be honest with yourself. You know what I mean?
It's funny. I was sitting on a panel yesterday for a market center in Pittsburgh, and they were talking about family reunion, and everybody said that everybody was like, I know what I need to do. Like, I didn't go to breakouts to learn nothing new. I know what I need to
Mhm.
do. I have to just do it every single day. I have to be okay with doing the same shit every single day. And
Yeah,
like that's all it is. Like when you go to the gym, if you think about it, you're doing the exact same thing every day, every week. But it's
yeah,
exciting to us because it's like, oh, we're getting stronger, looking better. We have to have that same mentality when it comes to our work because it's success is simple, not easy. It's simple because we know what we need to do. It's not easy because we know we got to do the same damn thing.
yeah, yeah.
Right. So I want to talk. You mentioned something a little bit a while ago when you was like, your son came in the room and you were depressed, you were feeling down. What are the things that you do when you get into that situation that you're able to bring yourself up? Is there like you have a routine, you have systems? What does that look like for you?
Now it looks like, honestly, more family time, less time in the office, more time. Sometimes I just need space away to get out of the mundane, out of the day to day stuff, and just more family time. It's really for me. Whenever I get off, it's always I haven't been to the gym, I've been traveling, or just haven't gone, and I haven't been meditating. So whenever I start feeling weird, immediately 2-hour gym session, run, exert yourself, make sure you meditate, get in the sauna, do all the things. And then when those things aren't working, I put on sometimes when I get low, I'll just get low and just put Drake on and
Yeah.
then just get low and just allow yourself that space and that time to feel and then shake it off and like, all right, let's get back to work.
Yeah. I realize that about myself too, that sometimes I have to put myself in that dark room.
You have
Like
to, yeah.
I try so much. Like I literally the same thing. Like I go to the gym. I'm doing all the things. I'm like, okay, bro, this situation, you have to put yourself in that dark space. Deal with it. Just don't stay in it.
Yep.
Face it head on, and then move out.
I struggle when I can't see clear.
Mm,
If I don't have an answer to a problem, or I'm dealing with something and I don't know my way out of it, I get like almost in a deer in headlights and I don't know where to go, and I just kind of like I just get overwhelmed. And so it takes me getting into that space to then just kind of like decompress, to then start figuring out a plan. It doesn't have to be the right plan, but I got to just be able to have outs. I got to have moves. And when I'm hitting a roadblock and there's nowhere to go, I'm like, shit. Then I got to go to my support group. Like, hey, what do you think? How do I? What are your thoughts on this? And having your people around you, I think, is imperative. Having a good tribe, having people you can call. I know Kaleo's a big influence in my life. I'm being able to be like, hey, here's the way I'm seeing the world. And he's like, yeah, or no, you're probably off on this. And just having people around you that'll tell you the truth and they care about you, rather than just telling you everything is going to be okay. Cause that's not, it's not always going to be okay.
Yeah. I realize that we are a lot of like where I, d- I don't need people to tell me it's gonna be okay. Like, tell me I fucked up. Tell me
Yeah.
no, no. You're moving off of emotion and not logic right now. Look at things this way. And Kaleo, Kay, he's one of those people for me too. I'm like, all right, bro, I gotta holler at you about something. And
Yeah.
he's come. It's what we call it that helicopter view. Okay, he's looking at the
Hmm.
whole scene. I'm in there, and he's able to help say, hey, no, do it this way, or no, that's the right way to do it. So having that crew again, we talked about this before, y'all. That who are you surrounding yourself with? What is your inner circle like? Is it people that's just going to say yes and help you be the victim all the time, or is it going to be people that's going to call you out on your bullshit? Like, hey, no, this is what's going on. You're not showing up how you need to show up, or this is the situation that you need to change. You need to move around. All right. So you're in Denver, Colorado. Um, let me know how that look, because right now you are the OP of your market center out there. How did that opportunity come about?
Man, it's been a wild experience. I think I'm black owner number 8 or number 9 or something like that inside of our company. And it came about by talking to Mark King. Full transparency, I was considering leaving, and I was just looking at options and just talking about it. And Mark was one of the ones I was like, well, Daniel, I think your leadership would be great inside this company. Like, have you thought about owning a market center? And I'm like, I don't know if that's my thing. And then we start talking about how we are not represented in ownership inside of this company, inside of just any brokerage across America, really. And so it was like, all right, cool. I think that would be a cool journey to go learn, lead, grow, influence. Um, I had this mindset that everyone will be excited that we have a black owned brokerage. I'm 100% owner of our brokerage. I'm the OP. We have the top team in the city. Like everyone's gonna be like, yeah, Daniel's here. Like, let's go. That is not what happened. There's a lot of people that were saying a lot of very, very prejudiced, very bad things about me, my family, my vision. The Black Panthers were here, like just a lot of just foul stuff. And so it took a year of just like, man, everyone's not as excited as I am to go build our community and go build minorities in this industry here in Denver. So it's been a challenge, to be honest with you. I think we found our way now, but the first year and a half was just constantly getting kicked in the nuts, left and right, and then people talking this and people saying that, and Daniel's this person and Daniel's that person, and I'm just like, man, why am I getting attacked? No one cared when I had $100 million team and I was balling, but as soon as
Yeah.
I become a market center owner, like everyone wants to attack me now. It was wild. It's a wild, wild experience.
Yeah. And it's funny because I remember when you first did that, like I heard it, it's a press release, we hear about it. And the first thing I thought, like, oh damn, I wonder how that's gonna be in Denver. And going through that situation, what were some of the things that you were able to learn and build on? Like, okay, this is the cards I'm being dealt.
Yeah.
Now let me maneuver through that.
So a few things. I mean, I learned a lot of lessons from it. The first lesson was really just understanding, like, all right, well, people won't be as excited as I am. I mean, going back, if I could go back, I'd do it the same way because I'm proud to be black.
Yeah.
I'm proud to be a disruptor and make people uncomfortable. Like I 100% enjoy that about myself, and I will never change that about myself. Um, I think since I became an agent, I've been winning literally from the beginning, and the market's been good, and I've been have good coaches, and we've been growing and succeeding. And then all of a sudden, I'm not winning anymore, and I'm trying to learn how to be an OP, how to run a market center, how to lead agents that aren't they're agents in the brokerage that don't want to engage but want you to provide value, that are not agents on my team I can mandate stuff for. Like, whoa, that was a big challenge I wasn't anticipating how I could navigate. Um, and then just realizing, like, at the end of the day now, I want Mike Tomlin says this. I'm a big sports fanatic, and Mike Tomlin always says whenever there's a dispute with somebody about money or a contract or whatever it is, he goes, "I want volunteers, not hostages." That's
Mm,
100% how I feel. I'm not going to go have the 400 or 500 person brokerage. Like that's not our model. I'm not going to keep people here that don't want to be part of my leadership or be inside of our world. There's no ass kissing to be here. We will treat you well. We will treat you fair. We will support you. We will love you. And your job is to go sell real estate. And so it's weird. It's weird just thinking about where we came from and the lessons that have been learned. And just it's cool having ancillaries and multiple businesses, but when the market is depressed and there's no transactions happening or less transactions happening, then you're getting. I was playing whack-a-mole for 2 years, fixing one business, the other one's failing, fixing that one, the next one, and it's just like, oh my god, this is exhausting.
yeah. And that's a good segue into that because I wanted to talk to you about that because you're the king of ancillary businesses. Like that again, that was my first introduction to you. And I am not bullshitting. As we were there, I was texting my homie like, bro, I just heard this guy named Daniel Dixon, and is he's found a way to position himself where it's those multiple streams of income. He's
Yeah.
doing it in the same arena of not having to go to this industry, that industry, and doing it like I'm like he was able to diversify what he's doing in the same arena. So talk to us about that. How did you get into that? And highlight some of the stuff that you have going on, and that way people can know, what you're working on.
Yeah, so we have a mega team. We actually position the team into more of a network now. We're still going to provide all the same things we do as a team. Over the last 10 years, a lot of agents have done a great job in building the Dixon Group and building my resume and building my, persona. And so now we're providing all the same things, but letting the agents essentially sell in their own name so they can go build their own brand. So that's like our network, our team, whatever you want to call that now. I own the Keller Williams franchise that I purchased about 2.5 years ago. I owned a mortgage company for about 3 years. So we started the first ancillary we did was title. So I own a title company as well. And then after the title company venture, then we went in and started a mortgage company. And so we were in the retail space. We then went to the broker space, and I went back into the retail space about a month ago and partnered with Cross Country Mortgage because I think our expansion of services and lower rates and lower fees and the ability to lend across the country was way more appealing than try to do it, partnering rather than trying to do it all on my own. So what happened is I'm an internet lead generation guy. So we don't do a lot of sphere-based business. We do a lot of internet. And I used to work at Zillow before I got into real estate. So cost per lead is expensive. And as the cost per lead continued to increase, we started looking at, okay, well, what are other ways that we can create revenue on one transaction? And the first thing my coach told me was title. So it was like, I didn't, this is how much of a novice I was, Jesse. I'm like, title, like the closing fee is like $450. Like, why am I going to go do that? He's like, no, look at the actual owner's title policy. I'm like, oh, and then look at the lender policy. I'm like, oh, there's a lot of money in title. So that was the first one we did. And then I started, we're selling a lot of houses. And I look at my lender and then we're co-marketing and doing that thing. And I'm like, how much money do you make on a loan? And he started stumbling over his words a little bit and stuttering. And I'm like, oh, it's a lot. Okay. So then I started doing more research about it. I'm like, oh, you guys are getting paid a lot more money than I thought on each side of this transaction. So then when you started looking at, like, most agents will look at, I don't want to say commissions, but they'll look at the amount of money that's in a transaction, and you will be focused on your side of it, whatever that may be. When most agents on a $400,000 transaction, they're focused on their $11,000, commission amount, compensation amount. And when I looked back and started doing all the math, there's actually like $44,000 in actual revenue made on one transaction. And so then I was like, oh man, so if I can start figuring out how to spend whatever that amount is per lead and then create these additional streams of revenue on one transaction, how can I increase my cost per closing rather than increasing just the number of closings that we have? And then I became obsessed with it.
That's that's fascinating because thinking about that as a newer agent, you're right. Like newer agent, and not hell, not even newer agents. You have experienced agents that don't know anything about that, and they're just focusing on what their take home from that is, and instead of looking at the bigger picture. And that's one thing that I really give you your flowers on because you don't gatekeep that.
Mm-mm.
Like you like, hey, listen, this is what's really going on. If you all really want to and grow wealth in this arena, here's some other options that you need to think about and you need to look at because there's so much money being passed back and forth in the transaction. You should be getting more than just the portion that you're getting.
Well, and the thing is, we control this industry. Like loan officers don't prospect, they don't do open houses, like they don't go grind to get more business. Like as agents, we control how the inspectors paid, how the appraisers paid, how the title companies paid, like all of the people that are inside of one transaction. We did a thing once in a class where it's like 42 potential pieces of business are generated by one listing.
Wow.
What? The photographer, the sign company, like, and you just start going down the list and you're like,
Yeah.
man, but how does that listing become a listing? Well, somebody's prospecting, somebody's networking, somebody's getting like somebody's doing something to generate that piece of business. And then it was like, man, how can I go tell more agents to get their fair share? And it's not about just because the money piece is the last piece, Jesse. For me, it's
Yeah.
about I've been let down by so many lenders before I got licensed, and I've been let down by title companies or just bad closers that are just rude. And I'm like, man, if I can control the transaction, then I can control the client experience and it can all be on me. And so if I do an incredible job, I can control the real estate, I can control the title, I can control the loan. And if I can do that and I can do it at a high level, then I'm lucky enough to be able to be compensated for it. But if you don't do any of those things well, like it's and we haven't at one point when we first started all of this, and it's an absolute nightmare. So it's not about the money's the last piece of this. I want to control the transaction, and then I want to control the client experience, and that's why we have over 1,000 5-star reviews online because we do a really good job for our clients at a really high level. Because my expectation, just as it is for my agents, it's the same for my lenders, it's the same for my closers, it's the same for my inspectors and everybody else that's inside that transaction.
Yeah. Client
Hmm.
experience. A lot of agents, and hell, even for you all listening that's not in the real estate industry, client experience with whatever business that you created and you built is what's going to keep your business going. So focusing on that, and like Dan, you said, not just the money, but focusing on creating that ultimate experience for your clients is going to keep your doors open and keep people coming back to you.
Yeah. They will, and I think that it's I'm just a control freak, man. Like I've been at closing, and the lender doesn't get the money to title, and people are frustrated. And like there goes my review, because what are the thing they remember? They remember everything that happens at the end, no matter how
Yeah,
difficult the process was. They care about everything at the end, and I got frustrated. Where I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go build this myself. And if it
yeah,
succeeds, it's on me. If it fails, it's on me. And that's what created the all these different ancillaries. And then just thinking about the wealth side of all of this is, man, how do I use this business to create revenue to then go invest and start creating real wealth? How do we protect the assets? Like these are all things I've never knew anything about. A trust, a will, we never had that growing up, an estate plan. And so understanding how the game is played and realizing, oh, there's a whole nother game being played that people inside of our communities have no idea that is actually happening.
yeah.
Wild to me.
And speaking on that, and I don't know if you had a chance to really sit back and think about it, and you probably have, but what is that experience like for you? Because you are a key component to that to our community of opening it up people's eyes and sharing new experience for them. Like again, I keep going back to when I first met you of like, damn, I did not know none of this. And
Yeah.
it's somebody that looks like me that's doing it. So have you had a chance to sit back and think that and you've done this on multiple scales, but just on that one alone, of that you are impacting, you are changing people's lives, you are helping people see things a different way.
I don't think there's been enough actual movement yet. And I
Mhm.
think a lot of people in our industry, a lot of people, a lot of places that I talk, like people are infamous, real estate agents are infamous for learning to know, but not learning to actually do. And I think that it drives me nuts because everybody wants to get ready, instead of just jumping in and figuring it out. Like I knew none of these things. When I understood about cost segregation, I knew nothing about it, but I trusted my coach. My coach was like, do this, this, and this. Like, all right, bet. Like I take direction really well from people I trust. Like, all right, bet. Let me go do that. And then I'm like, cool. What does this mean? I don't understand. And then you do your taxes, you go, oh, that's crazy. So it's those things that I encourage people, just go step, go walk in the path, go try to, don't just do all your research, get the people that do research, don't get me wrong, but when people give you an idea and a concept, go talk to Chat GPT, talk to your advisors and figure out, how do I make this work? I was on a panel with Julia and Bo and Emmerich yesterday for Black History Month, as we're wrapping up Black History Month. And one of the biggest ways our communities, the Black and brown communities, one of the biggest things that we don't do inside of our community is have life insurance policies. And so when we lose somebody in our life, we're not transitioning that wealth or whatever we've done in our lifetime to the next generation, and allowing them, I'm gonna call it a head start, or just allowing them some nest egg to then go build and grow. These are games that we don't play. So I mean, having proper health insurance, having disability insurance, having proper insurance coverage on your car and on your house, having an umbrella policy, having a life insurance policy. These are all very, very basic things that everybody inside or outside the real estate community can do. I think that's where wealth building starts. And then you start accumulating more money, more assets. And then we start talking about asset protection to protect all the things that you're building. We want to own nothing. We want to control everything. And then how do I will this, and how, what is the plan for my children and my heirs when I do pass? What are my directives for them? What am I encouraging them to do? What am I, what are the limits on what they can get distributed once we pass from this wealth? Because what we're not going to do is just have some spoiled ass little brats that get a lump sum of money when mom and dad pass. And we always tell our kids, like, hey, if you guys kill us, it's not a payday for you. So just to be clear, just to be clear, there's limits and there's levels to when you're going to get what and what you need to do as a positive member of society to be able to access the thing that mom and dad are building.
What do you think is that roadblock for people? Because we talked about it earlier, and then you just talked about it now. Of people know what to do, but it's a roadblock that's stopping them from doing it. Do you have an idea of what that, like what that could be, or is it, could it be multiple things for different people?
I think for a lot of people it's the fear of the unknown. And I think fear is so crippling for so many people. And whether it's a fear of failure or a fear of not knowing what's going to happen next, or when you think about when you're at the pool and you have the kids that put their toe in to feel what how cold it is versus the kids that just jump in. I
Yeah.
think that's behaviors of what we're going to experience in life as well. Now, some kids are really, really impulsive and that can create problems, but we get ready to get ready. And I don't know where it came from for me or why I am the way I am, but like I don't have fear of failure. And then hearing Gary and reading the Red Book and Gary talking about failure way forward, I'm like, man, I have permission to make mistakes. I
Yeah.
just believe that I'm going to win or I'm going to learn through the experience. And even buying the brokerage in the last 2 years, I've been getting kicked in the nuts time and time again. But I'm like, man, when I get out of this, I'm going to be a dangerous human being. When I
Yeah.
when the clouds start to part, like I'm gonna be a dangerous human being. So I'm taking my lumps. And so it's just really just giving yourself permission, like have enough confidence in yourself to know that, you know what, I will figure anything out. It may take some time, but I will figure anything out that I'm going through, that I'm dealing with, and figure our path out and how we succeed and how we win at the end.
Do you, with that, do you feel, and I kind of feel this way because we're from the same era. I'm a little bit older than you, but we're from the same era where it's like we didn't have social media,
Yeah.
up, for the time. So you were not seeing people quote unquote highlight reels. Do you think that plays a part into people of having that fear of like they go on social media, they say, oh, this person just started this business, they did that. They're not sharing the shit that happened to get there. Like you said, like you are very transparent about the situations you've been dealing with, being a market center owner out there. But a lot of people don't share those struggles. Do you think that plays a part in it? Of they feel like they have to keep up with what other people are doing, and those people are not sharing the struggles that they're going through.
Well, I think the challenge is we get on these panels and we just sit and talk about all our successes. Like we need to have we need to have panels of just failures, panels of
Yeah,
problems. What did we challenge with? What did we, what are the lessons that we learned? What mistakes did we make? We need to go through that and have more conversations like that. And I think you don't hear very many people talk on stage about all the things they did wrong, or when they were depressed, or when they lost confidence in themselves. Like I'm a very confident individual, but
yeah,
I'm not always knowing that I'm going to get out of it. I still gotta, when you asked me earlier about what do I do when things get weird, I
yeah.
have to go back to my positive affirmations.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? Like I don't do them every day, but when I start doubting myself, I'm like, nope, 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 nope. Get back to it. Get back to that confidence that you have in yourself, and talk to yourself and communicate to yourself. And I think for most people, you need to put a limit on social media. And I
yeah,
think that it creates, my 14-year-old wants his Instagram. I'm like, you're out of your mind. No chance. We can put it on my phone, and you can have it on my phone, and you can use it whenever, like, he wants to get on the TikTok shop and sell these little he has a 3D printer and wants to sell things. And I love
yeah,
the ambition, but like you are not doing that. There's legit study after study about how it leads to depression, and how you
mhm,
start comparing yourself to others, and how you have this fear of missing out, and how it leads to suicide in teenage girl. Like absolutely not. Hard
yeah,
no. And so I think
yeah,
that we got to limit ourselves as well. And I do the same thing. Like I whenever I start feeling bad, I'm like, what am I doing? I then go look at your screen time. Like, oh, I spent a lot of time on Instagram, didn't I? Shit.
yeah,
Put the
yeah,
limits, put the boundaries on for yourself as well, to protect your mind. Don't wake up in the morning and grab your phone and open up and see what your messages look like. Don't do
yeah,
that. Protect
yeah.
yourself, and give yourself that armor in the morning. Do your 5-minute journal, do your positive affirmations, stretch, drink water, fortify your mind, and then go attack the day.
For y'all that's been listening, that's been a common theme that's been coming up. What is your self talk? What are you telling yourself?
Mhm.
And wait, Daniel, you probably don't know. So this actual podcast was birthed out of a class I created called Breakthrough Blueprint, and it's pretty much a 8 step things of how you can break through the bullshit you're going through.
Yeah.
And you just hit two of them spot on. Like one of them is those affirmations, that self talk. What are you telling yourself? And the other one is how are you taking care of yourself? And I always share a story of, and I've been guilty of this, and I'm still guilty of it from time to time, where when I wake up in the morning, one eye still closed with sleep, I'm grabbing my phone, and the first thing I'm doing is scrolling, trying to see what happened. Like
Yeah.
it, it can fuck up your day so bad that you scroll Facebook, somebody died, somebody got a divorce, somebody lost their job, bullshit going on in the world, and you wonder why your day is thrown off, and you're just like, I don't know why I'm in a bad mood, because like you just said, we're not fortifying our mind. We're not making sure we're putting the right stuff in there first thing in the morning, and we're just latched on to that. So it's just funny how everybody that I talk to, we all come with the same thing as far as, okay, affirmation, self-talk, controlling what you're letting into your mind to be able to control your day and make sure your mood is right.
Yeah, like your input creates your output.
Yeah.
So what are we putting in? What are we putting in our body? What are we putting into our mind? What music are we listening to? What are we doing? Yeah.
It's funny because I just realized that a few years ago. Like my music really dictates my mood sometimes. Like there's certain stuff I can't listen to for certain situations because that'll put me in the mood. Like, okay, that's not the right mood for this
Yeah,
situation. So
absolutely.
let me switch up what I'm listening to. And a lot of people don't realize that, right? Okay. So what And we talked about your, your habits. What are some of your non-negotiables?
Negativity.
Yeah,
Negativity is a cancer. I don't care if you're a top producer, if you're my best friend, or who you are. Negativity is not welcome inside of my world because it destroys culture, community, people, mindsets, all of the things. So that is definitely one of them. Um, and really, like, honestly, anything about negativity, pessimism, bitching, complaining, whining, anything that has to do with negativity. Life is hard enough as it is. I don't want to hear how difficult whatever you're going through is. Like, there's a path out. If you need to go for a walk, go for a walk. We all need to vomit sometimes at the mouth, and we
yeah.
all need to get it out. It has to get out. It can't just stay inside. But get it out, move on. Let's keep growing.
I've actually had to implement something, and I tell people like, if you're gonna call me and complain and bitch, soon as you're done, you need to tell me, okay, but this is the solution. Here's
Yeah.
what I'm gonna do about it. Don't call me if it's just gonna be you complaining, and I'm not gonna do this. I'm gonna do the same. If I call anybody to complain about something after I get it out, I'm gonna say, and this is what I think I'm gonna do about the situation, and
Mm,
get feedback from it. Because
yeah.
again, it's we have to be careful of those energy drainers. And I always say, and I tell people, you are not a walking, talking Tesla charging station.
Hmm.
You are not there just to refill people battery, and then when you're drained now, you're just trying to figure out how to charge it up.
Yeah. Well, it
So
came about for me. I'm big on Tony Robbins. Like, going to unleash the power within was huge in my life early in my career, and just understanding the power of your thoughts and the power of your mind. And your subconscious is always listening. And I remember being on the phone with my mom one day. I'm driving home from work, and she's like, "Hey, what's going on? Like, how are you?" I'm like, "Ah, it's a shitty day, and this, and then, and then, and then." I was like, "You know what? I'm not doing that anymore." So people will ask me, like, "Hey, Daniel, how are you?" I'm like, "Man, I'm incredible." And they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fantastic, no matter what I'm going through, because your subconscious, your mind is listening. And if I tell myself I'm great every single day, I, I'm gonna be better than if I told myself I'm okay. How are you? I'm all right. Like, why are you only all right? That's whack.
and we know our subconscious mind doesn't know what's real or fake. It doesn't
At
know.
all.
It's just gonna latch on to whatever we tell it to.
It's a
Uh,
supercomputer. It can be hacked. And that's what I learned through Tony Robbins. You can hack your mind, good or bad. And I think that's what social media is doing, is hacking a lot of people's minds, and it's not in a positive way.
yeah.
And I think that's what's concerning about it.
And it's funny you brought that up because I'm rereading The Untethered Soul, and I just
Hmm.
got done with a section where they talked about that. Like, our mind is a computer. Like, we can control what it thinks, how it feels. We just have to make sure we put the right stuff in there to have it think those right things.
Yeah.
Switching gears, I know we're coming up on time in a little bit, and I definitely don't want to take up too much more of your time. But you talked about that, work when it's time to work and play when it's time to play. Do you have a system for you balancing work and family time, or how does that work for you?
So this was probably happened for me like 6 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago. I came home and I'm dealing with clients, and I'm talking to clients. I'm coming in and I'm dealing with like an inspection phase or whatever I'm dealing with, and the client's an asshole, and I'm coming in, and my young son, he's probably 5 at the time. I walk in the door from the garage and he goes, "Dad," and I was like, "Stop! Like, get away from me!" Type, like, just, kind of stiff arm. And I realized at that moment, like, they're excited to see dad. They haven't seen dad all day. Why am I not feeding into that moment and getting excited with them and having that moment with them? So my new thing, from that point forward, is I'm not taking, unless it's an emergency. I'm not taking work calls. Let's deal with it in the morning. I'll work later so I can go home and not open my backpack and not bring my computer out. There's no reason to be back online. Again, unless it's an emergency or some weird stuff is happening. And so when I'm home, I can be home. But then you go through the phase of being home and then doing this, but not being present. Okay,
Mm,
well, are you really home? So it's a constant reminder of, let's make the time matter that we're there. Let's engage. Let's connect. Let's communicate. Um, and so I think that it's like, wrap up work, and it's hard for agents, right? Like, you got to write an offer at 8 o'clock or whatever it is. dismiss yourself from wherever you're at, do what you need to do, close it up and get back and be present. Make your time count. Make your time count. I don't think there is a balance. I don't think anything's 50-50. Sometimes
Yeah.
I'll work till 7 o'clock at night and miss dinner with everybody, but we're going on a trip. And so when I'm on a trip, I'm not working on the trip. I'm 100% in with the family, communicating with the family. And I think my coaches helped me realize that, like, there's a lot of people that are home every night at dinner, but they're so disengaged. Okay, you're there, but are you actually present? And I think
Yeah.
the vast majority of us can say, no, we're not.
Yeah.
Me
And
included.
I'm glad you said that you're never going to be balanced. And I know we talk about this in quantum leap and stuff, where it's just always that counterbalance,
Hmm.
knowing that okay, personal life may be out of whack a little bit because I'm going all in on business right now, and when I make it home, business is going to be out of whack because I'm focusing on family time. So just remembering those two things.
Well, when you think about one of the things that I did with my coach Brett, when you look at your children and you don't, like, my son's 14, and we don't necessarily look at him being 14. I look at him and say, man, I got 4 more summers with him. I got 4 more summers with him. And so when you look at it through that lens, it's like, oh shit, this summer we need to be doing something really cool, really fun. And I have 5 more winters or 4 more winters together. And so it's a
Yeah.
crazy concept when you think about that, because once they turn 18, I mean, I hope that we're still super close and tight and he comes home, but you may be in college, you may be across the country. Who knows what's going to happen at that point? So it really makes you think about, how many more days do you have left with my mom? How many more
Yeah.
summers with my mom? And when you start measuring life like that, it makes you really feel that life is fragile and life is really short, and you've got to be more present. You got to be more present and make that time count.
Yeah. And that's another part, and I actually got that from Brett. So the last part of the workshop is having them do the
Hmm.
exercise that Brett have us do. 79 years for males, 81 years for females, and then calculated how many more Taco Tuesdays you have, how many more
Right.
birthdays you have,
Yeah.
and the birthday one is very key, especially for us with kids, because I have a 23-year-old too, and
Hmm.
I'm like, once your kids get to a certain age, their birthdays are spent with their friends. Like my daughter,
Yeah.
she has her own place now. She has a boyfriend, she has a car. So I don't get those birthdays with her anymore. So now
Yep.
that time is completely gone. So it makes you think about that of like, damn, okay, when it's time to work, but when it's time to be present and be where my feet are with my family, I have to stay on top of those things.
100%.
Thank you. My brother, Daniel, anything you want the people to know, any parting words or where they can reach you at, go ahead and let them know.
Yeah, y'all could reach me at Dixon Sold It. And I think the thing for everybody, a lot of young professionals, a lot of people just listening, just continue dreaming. Dream big, reach far, keep fighting, keep growing. There's so much out there and there's so much potential that all of us have. And it's our job to tap in, to see clear, and to constantly keep thinking bigger and dreaming bigger. Anything is
Yeah.
possible.
I love that. I love that. Just keep dreaming, keep working, and it can be bigger. Again, I appreciate you being here. It's an honor, like getting to have this conversation with you. I don't take any of this for granted because again, I know how busy you are, and I know you are purposeful about what it is that you do. So I'm very appreciative of that. And then also, again, I want to highlight this. Go make sure you all download the Color of Money podcast. It is amazing. I listen to it. They drop gems. They have some dope guests on there. I'll put the link in the description so you can be able to tap into it and check it out. Again, bet on yourself, play to win. Shit is going to happen. We have to get through that shit. And I'll see you all next week. Peace.